Это подходило, это самое широкое подходило. Ну, я не знаю, или у них свои должны быть. Вот. Антонио Дос Рейс. Это Португалия, Лиссабон, Институт Граля. Я не знаю, священный Грааль у них или нет, но это Институт Граля. Может быть.
First of all, I would like to salute Dean of Udmurt University, Madam Professor Galina Mesleakova. I would like to thank Professor Sergei Oslov for inviting me to participate in this conference, and as well I would like to compliment all colleagues present in the audience and auditorium. I'm going to share with you some of my conclusions related to what I have done and what has been my research during the last decade. And it's concerning methodologies and technologies to use in the school of the future. About this, I am going to present you my conclusions. And these conclusions are just in here. Let us reflect about the school of the future. But I will separate it in 3 topics. First, how about the evolution to the school of the future? Second, how is about today? And about the future. About the evolution, we have the classroom, the evolution of technologies, the evolution of methodologies, about our students, and the teaching process in presence and distance environment. Let's have a look about it. About the classroom, we have to say that during more than 2,400 years, a very short evolution happens. Since Socrates, teaching in the gardens of Athens, to their students, just talking and talking, presenting his ideas and his reflections. Only one very important technological evolution happens, the blackboard. But the blackboard, it was just some kind of talk with chalk, as the British says. But in the recent decades, an interesting evolution started to happen very fast, like retroprojectors, improving the communication from didactic point of view, and again the projectors. The projectors have rules in order to present with 7 lines per slide and 7 words per line. But in fact, the result is like this. It's a very bad didactic communication approach, which should be reflected and changed to make it much better, much more communicative, sort of under the point of view of the pedagogical point of view. We should improve our communication tools. And about the technology, in 70 years we evolved from a home computer, the Mark I from Harvard University, to a very strong equipment, thousands of times much more powerful, to Samsung and other equipments very strong, and iPads very strong and much more interesting for our students. And about the society, the communication society, we can say that in 2 decades we built up communication society connecting civilizations in real time. But today we have too much information. And about methodology, we have to say that we evolved from behaviorism to constructivism in 1 century. The theory of multi-intelligence and learning styles from Gardner and Fleming. emotional intelligence from Daniel Goleman, and interactivity and interactivity, and the learning from the neurophysiologic process. And finally, social learning and collaborative connectivism from George Simmons. A lot of evolution, a lot of improvement from the pedagogical point of view and approaches in the teaching process. And about our students, there was an enormous evolution, and this evolution are concerning several aspects. They are using a lot of video games, they are using a lot of mobile phones, using TV, and the question is, but as much as the future is today, our students are in fact students of the future. And let's confirm this. But the best way to know what the students of the future thinks is to ask them. And I decide to interview a student of the future. Let's listen to Anna Maria, 6 years old. Hi Hannah, how are you?
I am fine, thank you.
Where are you from?
I am from Portugal, but I live in London.
Are you living in London? Yes, good. And can you introduce yourself, please?
Well,
Know that you are in school and you started in 2011.
Wait, I am going to introduce myself for my first day of school.
Good. I would like to listen
Some-
to you.
Hi, I'm Anna.
And yes, so you like to be in school. And what have you been doing?
I'm starting my PhD like my father, my mother, and my grandfather.
Very nice. You have a big challenge in front of you. And a big
And
one.
like the Chinese say, a long journey starts from the very first step.
Yes. And but you have many things to overpass. And
Blink my eye to the teacher and says everything is under control.
good. But in case you have more difficulties, what are you doing?
Blinking two eyes is even better.
Yes. So,
Did you like my presentation?
yes. Anna, have you been reading what is written in the slides?
Yeah.
So it means that you know how to read. You just know how to read with 6 years old. You are very good, Anna. But I would like to know your opinion about the school. When I was your age, teachers were very serious. They didn't laugh with us.
Already.
Teachers are much more friendly. They like to make games with us and things like this. What would you prefer? Which type you prefer?
I prefer
You prefer the friendly type with jokes and things?
jokes and games and parties.
Yes, very nice. And how about multimedia and video games?
Yes.
Yes, you like it. Anna, another question. When you need some support to make your homework, what are you normally doing?
Calling Skype.
Calling me? Yes, you are calling me normally by Skype to help you. And is it good?
Yes.
Thank you very much, Anna. The School of the Future, you are a real student of the future. Thank you. And my conclusion is that students, they
Digital model learners has different learning styles. They are multimedia content, distant learning.
yes, you know very well how to make conclusions. Thank you very much, Anna. It was a pleasure to be with you, as always. Thank you.
Thank
Say
you.
bye.
Bye.
About teaching process, we can say that we talked about distance learning during the 20th century, and we referring to the first generation that evolved from the 19th century to the 70s of correspondence courses with a classic point of view, delivering by a traditional mail. But enormous evolution happened during the Second World War. The second generation, it was from the 70s to 80s with open universities. And the third generation from the 80s to the 90s with cassette videos and TV school. But an enormous step forwards, it happens in the 90s. It was called e-learning. And e-learning in a very different perspective, a very different way of expressing, or what we call e-learning. But e-learning is, let's say, computer-based learning, distributed learning, distance learning, web-based learning, online learning, internet learning, and b-learning. But this b-learning is blended learning, but it's the tendency, it's disappearing. Why? Because in 2001, Rosenberg said that the most important revolution in the future, it will not be e-learning, but just the disappearing of the e. And this is the future. And if we want to compare e-learning generations, we can say that the first generation happens in the changing of the century, and it was synchronous content delivered in the platforms, and just the students should have to study. But in fact, we realize the b-learning was necessary in presence in distance. But the second generation was in 2004, when Stefan Downes and O'Reilly start to talk about 2.0. This means interactivity. But this interactivity, it was asynchronous interactivity. Forums, chats, wikis, and some other technologies to make interactivity asynchronous. And in the third step, it was the evolution promoted by George Simmons when he started to talk about connectivism. And connectivism means people connected in real time. And this means video conferencing. This means real interactivity live. And this changed as well the format of blended learning. And this blended learning means asynchronous and synchronous. And synchronous can be in presence or in distance format, video conferencing and other virtual classrooms. And this is a huge evolution during the last decades. What else can we say? We can say, and I will repeat what Rosenberg said in 2001, that the E will be disappearing. This will be the big revolution, and he was looking to the future. And the future is today. And what finally is e-learning today? E-learning is a teaching process supported by electronic media, distributing contents in multiple formats and interactivity with app technologies, asynchronous and synchronous in distance or presence format. Doesn't matter which format it is. But this is really a new revolutionary approach of view of the future. And about today we can say that we are living exponential times, and evolution was very slow in the beginning. Now it's very, very, very fast. Let's see some aspects. We can say in top 10 jobs in demand in 2010 did exist in 2004, like social media strategists, user experience specialists, telework, and many, many other types of work that it exists 10 years before. For students starting a 4-year technology degree, this means that half of what they have learned in the first year will be outdated by the third year of study. And this is the enormous evolution that is changing in such speed that things are changing. We are currently preparing students for jobs that didn't or don't exist yet, and using technologies that haven't been invented, and to solve problems that we don't even know that they are problems yet. This is the overview of today. And what is our challenge on changing things and teachers preparing ourselves for the future? Let us summarize the evolution. But this evolution, before we go forward, let's reflect a little bit from Socrates to the blackboard to the retroprojector and projector, and in parallel the evolution of distance learning from the traditional format to e-learning, and in a parallel, very tiny parallel evolution. And we can say that learning today, like a glass of water, if we don't know if it is half full or half empty, and this is a mix and compromising situations between presence and distance, synchronous and asynchronous, and this is when synchronous can be presence or virtual. And we can say that a teacher, besides being an expert in specific scientific areas, he should have as well a new toolkit, a box with, he should have pedagogical skills to be a good teacher of the future. And about teaching models, what have been developed? In fact, several models has been developed to help and to guide the production of contents, to present contents, and as well to plan and develop e-learning courses. These models has been developed in a constructivist approach, but in fact the evolution of the technology and the methodologies, these models are not including guidance for synchronous activities, and it is very important in the future that these models would cover them. Let's have a look about several models available today. Several models are available, like Sally Johnson or L.E. Hanefman, Soilenmeyer, and Elementary Instructions and Principles by Merrill, and ARCS by John Killer. Because these models are not integrating synchronous virtual activities. In order to plan and develop e-learning courses are used the following models. Models of CAMP, R2D2 by Smiths, and many other. But before we try to define what is the school of the future and necessary new models, let's reflect a little bit about the evolution from behaviorism to constructivism and what can we do in presence or in virtual environment. Let's have a look about it. When we talk about constructivism, we have three main steps. First, rules and molding. The first day your students are in your classroom or you are in virtual environment, you must define the rules to work. But not only the rules, it is necessary to mold them in order to follow these rules. The second step is teaching and teaching, but not only teaching, is as well training and know how to do. This is really important. But finally, you are in a moment that you can make an interrogation to your students and question them. If what you have taught is the real truth, do they have something else to add? Build your own knowledge. This is the challenge you can do now, because they have information, they know how to think, they know how to study, and they know how to criticize. This is constructivism, but in 3 steps. Another thing is, how do we implement this in our courses? Let's say that in the beginning we have present our contents, and when we are presenting our contents we need to use didactic communication tools in written communication or in narration. We should know exactly how to structure our contents or how to make a good narration, because our ears are listening much faster than our brain understand. So we must know these techniques of communication. Visual multimedia presentations are very important, because what we see normally in practice is very lousy presentations that are more a guide for the teachers than a communication tool to our students. Non-verbal communication as well important. You can communicate with your eyes, with your expression, with your body, but not only with your narration. And this is important for communicating. And special synthesis. You cannot write a text in the same way you are making a speech or a communication, or oral communication. You cannot make a text or a video using the same syntaxes. These are important tools that you, teacher, should know. But from the presentation to tutoring to formative assessment, these are another step, another challenging for you to motivate your students in a constructivist perspective. Tutoring is like guidance, is orientation. You should promote reflexivity to your students. And formative evaluation and assessment are as well the same thing. They are very important for the success of the teaching process. And about how should we organize a lesson profile? Let's reflect between what is absolutely necessary to make in presence or we can make in presence or in virtual environment. When we present contents, we can make it in a virtual environment or in presence environment. When we make our tutoring, synchronous tutoring, you need to be presence or online. But asynchronous, you can use a platform and no problem about it. Totally online. Interactivity and socialization amongst students and tutors or in group work, presence or online. If you know how to do it, do it. It's fabulous. It's very challenging. And about assessment. For formative assessment, you need obviously online tools because you cannot do it without it. But for summative evaluation, you can do it in certificative. You can make it on presence or online. That's all. This is the line, the highlights for the future. And the future. The future, according to my father, it was 6 years ago when television starts in my country. And when my father saw television for the first time, he said, in the future, we will not use any more telephones. We'll have a screen in one side and we'll have a screen in the other side. People will be seeing each other and they are talking and so on. What means that today we are in the future. We are using Skype, video conferencing tools and so on. And this is the future we are living today. We need, in fact, new models and new taxonomies according to adjust all the technologies we are having and be learning in this format. The future is, in fact, today. And in the school of the future, teaching and learning processes is divided by the skills of the teachers and maturity of the students. It is absolutely necessary that a teacher that is teaching in the presence environment, he needs to adjust his skills in methodologies and technologies to be able to teach as well in this format. But it is necessary as well that student has the maturity to study in virtual environment, because they have not the capacity to make self-studying. The new model is necessary, and this new model we have developed some highlights about what it should be and integrating a new model. Contents distributed asynchronous and synchronously in multi-channel format. Learning based on interactivities and carried out in a constructivist process using tutoring, using collaborative activities with a view to integrate all these aspects. Continuous formative assessment is absolutely necessary, and this is one of the aspects very important for students to integrate their knowledge and apply it to all education levels and teaching environments. It is not only for technical activities, for classic traditional philosophies, all activities, and interactivity in collaborative environment. It's very important, and group work is one of the important aspects as well. And if we use all these topics in our process of teaching and learning, we will have certainly better quality of teaching and learning. Be learning the evolution. Blended lesson, as I mentioned, it should be in asynchronous and synchronous, not as it was 10 years ago, presence and distance. It should be when it is presence, when it is synchronous, it can be presence or virtual. We need, let's say, virtual classrooms. We need LMSs for distributing contents and making asynchronous interactivity. And virtual classrooms are one of the important tools if we are working in distance teaching. Of course, if we are in presence, we have the classroom. Many experiences are running now about the school of the future. Let's have a good talk and overview, but it is not really this we want. This was the past. In the presence, we have many experiences. I'm going to emphasize 5 experiences, but I could have emphasized 50 or more. And this is, let's say, all of them are mainly a focus on technology, but the methodology is as well very important, because technologies without methodologies is just technological noise. Be careful. What else? How we are preparing our students to prepare huge quantities of information, changing every day, and being competitive in a globalized world? This is an important question. This is a reflection for you. And prepare our students to be competitive in a globalized world. And what should be the school of the future? In fact, the school of the future have a couple of different aspects: presence and distance teaching, traditional or massive courses in these formats, formal or informal learning, create life-learn habits. Let me say that 4 years of university, it's like an introduction for 40 years of permanent learning. Teaching contents. Shall we teach contents or shall we teach how to learn? and to use all information that will be changing every day, every moment. And what is most important is to have graduations and degrees with no contents, or having a very strong curriculum with contents. These are 6 aspects very important for you to reflect about what it will be or should be the school of the future. And what to do. Okay, we can make e-evangelization for our teachers, colleagues that didn't realize this aspect. And be yourself a e-missionary. Just for that, join our community of the School of the Future. Please follow the URL. We are waiting for you for debating, for changing ideas and proving new methodologies. And the question is, are we teachers prepared for the future? This is not my answer. You are. Reflect and tell us what you think about it. Thank you very much for your attention. I'm glad to be with you. And make your questions in our community of the School of the Future, and they will be always answered. Thank you very much.